Hello, everybody. We're here. If you are joining, please feel free to comment just so we know you can hear us and see us. Hi, Veronica. And Saida, Jenny. Awesome. All right. So it looks like we have a bunch of ladies on here with us. We're very excited to have you join us for this very important topic today. So basically, I'm Kristen. I'm the community lead for Mira. So I do a lot of their manage their groups on Facebook and kind of deal with a lot of women that are going through the same thing as myself. I myself am also trying to conceive and have been struggling with it for over 2 years now. So I definitely think this is a very important topic and a very important webinar for all of us ladies out there. If it's been 6 months or it's been 3 years or whatever the case may be. It's a lot. So hopefully we're going to go over a lot of great information today. And let's see here. So Erin is our guest speaker, and her, along with her husband, Mark, co-founded Organic Conceptions after their personal experience with infertility. She's a certified coach, and based on what her and her husband observed on their path to parenthood, she wanted to investigate what helped them and how it could be applied to others in similar situations. So it's something near and dear to her heart, and we're very happy to have her. And then let's see here. Just so you guys know, this presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. So anything you hear can't be construed as medical advice. You definitely want to talk to your doctor about your specific situation. And we're not here to diagnose or treat any condition. But yeah, if you have some questions about Mira and about mental health while trying to conceive, please feel free to ask away. We'd love to help you out. So, and then I will let Erin take over from here.
Great. Thanks so much, Kristen. Yeah, this is such an important topic, and I'm glad that we squeezed it in on the last day of May, which is, of course, Mental Health Awareness Month. So super important. I know that when I coach women, they know I'm a mindset coach, but they still just want to tell me everything medical going on. And so I always like to talk about our emotions and our feelings. And so this is a topic that needs to be discussed, and I'm happy to share what I know and what I've learned with you. So I've created some visuals here to go along with what I'll talk about. So your topic that you asked me to speak on is how to embrace sadness on your fertility journey. And I actually want to just say that it doesn't just have to be sadness. It could be any feeling, right? So I like to say how to feel your feelings during infertility. So what we're going to cover today are what are feelings. That might seem like, oh, I know what feelings are, but I'm going to go a little deeper. What are feelings and where do they come from? And then what you might already be doing, and then some new things to try. And I like that little toolbox there. Maybe some things that you haven't tried, just to feel your emotions in a different way or more productive way. So what are feelings and where do they come from? So feelings arise from the thoughts that we think. And we'll just stop right there because this might be a new concept for people. But I do want to point out that the mindset work that I do, a lot of people offer me their feelings or they'll offer me like a circumstance that's happening. But I really love to say, okay, you can talk about the circumstance, you can talk about the emotion, but it's the thought that's actually creating the emotion. So if you didn't know that or you didn't think about that, I just want you to take a second and tap into that. Feelings, aka emotions, are vibrations in our bodies that can be felt physically, right? And the brain controls the release of certain chemicals called neurotransmitters that create sensations throughout your body. It takes about 6 seconds from thinking a thought to experience the effect of the neurotransmitter as an emotion, like to feel it throughout your body. And the nature of your thought gives your brain the information it needs to send the correct chemicals to help you survive. And I put quotations around correct because our brains just do the best job that they can. Your brain does the best job it can to send the right chemical to have you react in a way that will keep you alive. right? So this goes back to like primitive thinking. If you think you see a bear in the woods, right? You think that you see the bear in the woods, your brain is going to send that chemical of fight or flight, get out of there, and it's going to send the adrenaline so that you can run and get away. So I know we're not typically seeing bears in the woods. Well, maybe some of you are, but on a day-to-day basis, we don't see these really threatening things. However, our brains still perceive them as a threat, and they will offer those chemicals to help us survive. And our brains are doing the best they can with the information that we give them. So again, back to that thought. Whatever we think is going to send the chemical or the neurotransmitter to create the emotion in our body. Everyone following? This is very scientific. Okay. So what else? About our emotions and our thinking? So ruminating and catastrophizing, complaining, and negative thinking in general can create like this cascade, this constant wave of neurotransmitters that make it difficult for us to get out of this emotional negative cycle. So if you keep thinking the same negative thought, it's going to keep releasing that chemical, even though it only takes 6 seconds for that initial that initial neurotransmitter to flood your body. If you keep thinking the thought, your brain is going to just keep sending and sending those neurotransmitters. Just food for thought. Okay, so here's what you may be doing. 5 things that people typically will do when it comes to emotions or feelings. So number 1 is believing that our feelings come from the circumstances in our lives, okay? And I don't want to say that these are mistakes that people are making. These are just common things that people do that cause additional suffering. And number 2 is not giving feelings proper names. This is very common and typical. I find myself doing this all the time. And I'm looking at the chat over here. People are putting how long they've been trying, and that's awesome to see that. All different numbers, right? I can tell you mine was a 9-year struggle between the 2 children. 9 years. I have definitely, I can feel you. So number 2 is not giving your feelings proper names. And number 3, avoiding or suppressing your feelings. And I've got that beach ball there because sometimes we like push down our feelings. And then you know what happens when you push a beach ball underwater, it just splashes back up and hits you in the face eventually. And number 4 is acting from our feelings, right? And this is actually a fact. This is what we do. Our actions come from our emotions. And then number 5 is judging our feelings, okay? All right, so in the chat, if you can relate to any of these or think that you might be doing some of these, let me know. And someone's saying that they don't hear anything. I only see that one time, but I'm making sure that everybody can hear. Can you just pop in the chat if you can hear me talking? That would be terrible. Can you?
And I did forget to mention too, while we're at this little pause, if you guys do have questions throughout, feel free to type them into the chat and we'll make sure to address them all for you at the end of the presentation. So questions for Erin, for Mira, whichever.
Perfect. Oh, good. Nora fixed it. Great. And everybody can hear me. Yay. And some people are really relating to some and some are relating to all of them. Perfect. Okay, great. Excellent. All right, let's move on. So this is what you might be doing, number 1. So believing that feelings, I'm going to do a deep dive into each one. Believing that feelings come from your circumstances. Guys, this is the biggest one that I want you to pay attention to because it's just so easy to do. So we often blame our feelings on our circumstances, right? And it looks something like, I got a negative pregnancy test and it's stressing me out, right? So the circumstance is the negative pregnancy test and the stress is the feeling, but we said there's something in between there. Does anybody remember what we said was causing the feeling, not the circumstance, but does anybody remember? Pop it in the chat if you're paying attention. I'm a teacher too, so. I can't see the whole bottom of the chat, but I'm sure you're all flooding that chat box with the answer, which is thoughts, right? Our thoughts create our feelings, not our circumstance. Okay. So we let our thoughts and beliefs and judgments alter the reality of what's actually happening, the circumstance. Circumstances are just neutral. They're just things that happen in the world, and everybody has a different view about them. They have different thoughts about them, which will then give them different feelings about them, right? And sometimes things seem terrible to a lot of people, but not everyone can agree. And that's how you know if it's a circumstance versus your thought about it, right? Everyone has to agree that it's a fact. Okay, and our thoughts about our circumstances create our feelings, which we have said. So let's go on to the next slide here. I think I lost my ability to do that. Nope, there.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we lost Erin. Hold on for a sec.
Okay.
There you are.
Sorry about that. Okay, so all right, going on to my next slide. I think I hit the wrong arrow. Okay, so something new to try. So here's a tool. When you notice yourself thinking that your feelings come right from that circumstance, and I just want to pause here and say, when we think that our feelings come from what's happening around us, what does that say about our security and our control in the world? If we really believed that all of our emotions were at the effect of what's happening around us, how out of control does that really feel? I like to think that we do have a little bit more control over that. It's just we aren't aware of it. So tapping into that awareness of our thought is really what I want to teach you guys today. So here's a tool that I created called the conscious shift. So it's actually separating the circumstance from the thought and the feeling. And I highlighted them in different colors so you can see. Here's the example. So when you're not conscious of this process, here's what a sentence could sound like. I have an upcoming egg retrieval appointment, right? And I highlighted that in green because that's the circumstance. It's a fact, right? I have an upcoming egg retrieval appointment. There's no judgment about that. It's just a fact. And then we put in the emotion and it's stressing me out. And that's typically how we talk, right? It's how we talk to our friends, right? And everyone can relate. We all jump on that train, which I put on before was like that ruminating or, and it's not being aware. So when you check your statement to be sure that you include your thoughts, it opens up this self-awareness and it gives you the control, the feeling of control that you didn't have before because you thought that your circumstances were just, causing all of your feelings. So here's the new statement. I have an upcoming egg retrieval appointment. And what I'm making it mean is causing me to feel stress, right? So I'm making it mean something. And you can even ask yourself, what am I making it mean? What am I making this egg retrieval mean? And that's where you're going to find the sentences, all of the thoughts, they're going to just come flooding in. I tell people, write them down. Just write them down, check them for facts. Ask yourself if you really want to think them, right? But do this, I promise it's going to be eye-opening. Okay, so the next thing that you might be doing is not giving your feelings a proper name. Okay, so this is a basic wheel, like we see this in kindergarten. Here's your basic feelings, but we all go around using probably like 3 or 4, right? There are typical go-to feelings that we just have the same words that we use. And it's limited, this vocabulary that we describe our feelings with, we just go around using like, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm anxious, whatever it is. You want to type in the chat like your top 3 emotions that you typically describe as experiencing. Just pop them in there. There's no shame in it. Whatever feelings come up. I just did this exercise with my class, and it's all the same. Angry, happy, anxious, sad. Yeah, good. Fearful, frustrated, content, annoyed. Oh, Tiffany, you've got some good feeling words there. Overwhelmed, calm, anxious, nervous. Excellent. Great. Okay, so I'm going to skip to the next slide and tell you that if we restrict our language to describe our feelings, we may not be telling the whole story. Why is this a problem? Well, let me tell you. So an example is saying something made us feel sad instead of describing it as hurt or vulnerable. It limits our experience of the emotion. And so what does that mean? It can cause problems when trying to process our own feelings. And when we try to communicate them to others, it may not translate, right? If we just say sad, Someone doesn't know, maybe sad means something different to all different people, right? We all experience this range of emotions. The more articulate we can get, the more rich experience we can have, and the easier it is to, like I said, communicate and even just diffuse some of the emotion. Okay, so here's a big wheel. If you guys didn't know, there are this is just a tip of the iceberg, but there's 2,000 feeling words. I'm trying to expand my vocabulary. And I noticed through the work that I do that I had a very limited vocabulary of my emotions. So here's our inner wheel, right? Like that basic wheel that we probably go around using. And then there's that middle wheel we're expanding, and then the outer wheel. Look at all those words. It's amazing. What I don't want you to do is judge one that's good or bad. They're just emotions, right? They're just emotions. That's all they are. Okay, so that toolbox is saying expand your emotional vocabulary. Go ahead and try it. Use a different word. Be like, all right, am I just sad or am I, right? Fill in the blank. Okay. And what you may be doing. So here's that beach ball. Okay, this is what I'm going to say it. Don't do this. But we all do it. So number 3 is avoiding or suppressing your feelings. Okay, people often hide their emotions to protect their relationships or to avoid conflict. If anybody is doing this, just put a hand up or a yes in the chat. So we do this to protect other people, right? Yeah. Excellent. I'm still getting lots of emotions. Good. Okay. And many people suppress anger, and eventually that will blow up. And you can suppress any emotion and it will blow up, maybe at the wrong time or at the wrong person. Suppressing and or avoiding feelings shows up often as a way that it affects our body, right? And we can have physical problems like high blood pressure, memory loss, low self-esteem, high blood sugar, heart problems, sleep disturbance, and more. And I can put fertility in that, infertility in that line. We for certain can be our own worst enemies if we're pushing down those emotions. It's just not good for us. And you can look up study after study, not good. But also, pushing down emotions doesn't feel so bad because there's so many ways for us to not feel it. And we're going to talk right now about numbing. Okay, so we have so many opportunities in the day when we're feeling a little bad. What can we do? What can we do? What do you typically do when you feel bad? Do you sit there and process the emotion? Do you do any sort of thought work? Or do you do one of the next slide? Do you overdrink, overeat, use drugs, gossip, overspend, binge watch TV, binge watch on social media, game, nap, scroll through your phone, overwork, people please, overcommit, keep busy, overexercise? These are always available to us. In our society, it's even accepted to do many of these things. And it's just, they're crutches, they're numbing mechanisms for us not to feel. Because somewhere along the line, someone told us that feeling bad was a bad thing. Right? And I want to stop right there. Feeling bad is a bad thing. Like when you were crying when you were little, someone picked you up and wanted to fix it right away, right? Just, it's okay, it's okay, don't be sad, don't cry, right? Because so we were told at a young age that feeling bad was a terrible thing and we needed to get out of it. And now we have all of these ways to get out of it. So I put here, engaging in these actions may relieve stress and feel good in the moment, but some may be causing damage or even disguise themselves as progress, right? Like that bottom, the active ones, they're disguising themselves as progress. Either way, none of these are moving you towards your desired result. You have to decide what your desired result is. Everybody has a different result, but I'm sure that it's not, catching up on all of the shows. Like that's not your result that you're looking for, right? Or it's not making sure you have all the gossip. If that's your goal in life and that's your result, you are doing great. But I'm sure you guys have a little bit, more lofty goal. Like maybe it's a feeling. Maybe it's usually a feeling. Maybe it's a connection with someone. But if you notice you're using these numbing techniques just to numb away, just to get rid of the sadness or the pain or any kind of negative feeling, you might want to check in with that. Okay, so I'm going to skip to, oh, just the tool, just to remind you. The tool is just to recognize yourself using these. So you don't have to do anything more than just become aware of it. Just catch yourself. You don't have to shame yourself. Just be like, oh, I did that, instead of feeling the feeling. We're going to get into that next. Okay, so here's something else to try. You can use passive and active numbing. So we'll go back to that list because I didn't really name them. But see, the passive and active numbing, those aren't hurting anyone. Okay, they're just kind of like mindless, or getting some results, but not towards the end result. But they're not hurting anyone. So you can use those as a reward for self-love work. Okay, and self-love work looks like all of my little tools. So any tool that I've taught you so far is self-love work, right? Just being introspective, being aware of your thoughts, of your emotions, taking care of yourself that way. So if you do that for like 15 minutes and then you say, okay, I'm gonna go on my phone now, I just did a good thing for my brain. Okay, so next thing that you might be doing, number 4, is acting from your emotions, okay? And like I said, we are all doing this. This is how we work. Sometimes we're reacting, so we're not giving ourselves a second before having the emotion and then actually doing the action. But either way, your feelings are driving your actions. So your actions or inactions are generated from the emotions that you're feeling, and acting from emotions that are left unchecked leads to unintended results. So like I said before, you're not really trying to get where you're going, but you're just getting there. And sometimes we don't even realize why. And acting from feelings that have been processed is, it leads to healthier choices and gets you to the results that you want in your life. Okay. So something new to try is ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Right? So that's that question I asked before. So when you're having an emotion, ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? And if your brain wants to offer you a circumstance, like what's happening, you could be like, oh, no, that's actually not it. There's something I'm thinking. And we can get really good at this. What was I just thinking about? What was I thinking that caused me to have this emotion? And then ask yourself, is it true? Is it supporting me? Right? And then you can do what the tool that I taught you before with that circumstance, taking the circumstance and stripping it away from the thought and the feeling, and just watch your brain. So interesting. Okay. I'm going super fast. There's a lot here. But hopefully with questions at the end, we can dive into any specifics. So what you may be doing, number 5, is judging your feelings. Again, this is a no-no, okay? This is going to cause you so much more suffering. Okay, so judging your feelings. I want you to know this too. This is something I just learned, but we all have a set of emotions that we think are normal, right? That are acceptable to feel, that it's okay if I feel fill in the blank. And everyone's are different, but there are some that we feel like they're too painful and unacceptable, and then we feel like a bad person for having those feelings. Some typical ones are like jealousy, right? So when you feel a feeling that you think is not, you shouldn't be feeling, whatever that is, whatever you've told yourself, whatever the belief is, then you can compound that feeling, and then you layer it with like shame, guilt, right? And then you just get stuck. And then you're telling yourself all kinds of terrible things about yourself that aren't even true, right? When it's just an emotion, it's just a vibration in your body. Okay, so you want to type in the chat. This is always very interesting. We can see commonalities, but type in like one emotion that you think is normal to have, totally acceptable. If I haven't lost anybody. Anger, jealous, happy, sadness, stress, jealous, disappointment. Great. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop you now. If you want to put in there some feelings that you think are not so acceptable, like you wouldn't want to go around flaunting this emotion in public or let people know you're feeling this on a regular basis. And I'm hoping we're moving the needle with this mental health awareness that all emotions are acceptable. Okay, anger, jealousy, self-disgust, yeah, bitterness. Okay. And so ask yourself, when I feel these feelings, the ones that are not acceptable, am I compounding it by judging them? Am I telling myself something bad about myself for having these feelings? People do it all the time. I'm guilty of it, right? Betrayed, yeah. So if you find yourself judging these emotions, something to just get awareness around, right? And let it go. All emotions are just your brain's best attempt at helping you get through it, right? Don't judge it. Okay, so I'm going to tell you that again. Something new to try is allow and accept your feelings as the pureness that they are, right? They are just part of our DNA. They're part of the human experience, okay? And did you notice, Kristen, that I think I only saw like one positive
Yep.
emotion?
Yep. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's typical too. Yeah, that's typical too. Because when we're talking about emotions, we're like, okay, we gotta fix those bad ones. She's probably talking about all the negative stuff. We gotta fix that. We gotta fix that. And that's just conditioning from when we're young. We're told that we've got to just get to the happy, right? Pursuit of happiness. We're all trying to get on this happy, happy, happy when it's 50-50,
Absolutely.
right? Life is 50-50. Yeah. Okay, so allowing and accepting your feelings as the pureness that they are. How do we do this? I've made an acronym for you. And it's kind of funny because it's ironic that we want those feelings gone. So I made the acronym to be gone. Okay, so when you're feeling this emotion, I want you to go inward. And you can do this with happy ones too. You can do this one with positive emotion or negative emotion. It's just about looking at it. Okay, so I want you to go inward. This, for some people, could be closing their eyes. You can do this in the shower. You can do it. You can do it right before bed, or just waking up. And when or just when you're having an emotion, you just want to go inward, right? And then I want you to observe the emotion. So you're just like looking at it from the watcher part of your brain, no judgment, and then we're going to say it out loud. You're going to be a narrator. You're going to name the feeling. Like, this is what shame feels like in my body. I know it sounds silly, but it's an amazing tool, right? Just to watch, interesting. It feels tight in my chest. It feels really hot. So interesting, right? So we're observing, we're just like a scientist, and then we're narrating. And you don't need to do it out loud if anyone's around, but in your mind, you could be like, all right, that's interesting. That's sadness. That's what it's like for me. Interesting. No judgment, right? And then the last one is in trust. In trust that nothing's going to happen. Emotions cannot hurt you. A lot of people are just on this pursuit just to avoid a negative emotion. They spend most of their days doing the numbing that I was talking about, right? Or suppressing or judging them, feeling worse and feeling worse and feeling worse. But just in trusting that it's the 6-second ride, right? And if you allow it and accept it, it can just like a wave just pass through. And some of them last longer, and that's okay, right? But just try this tool. I forgot to put a little toolbox there. Sorry. Try this tool, and then see what results you get. Okay, so that's it. That's my presentation. Hopefully, you guys learned a little bit of self-love and some tools to get through those heavy emotions. Any questions?
And
Are we
yeah,
opening it up to Q&A now, or did you?
we could
Yeah,
definitely
okay.
open it up to some questions. Oh yeah, and what we'll do is, I was gonna say, like, I totally can relate to a lot of the things Erin's talking about. I'm sure a lot of you ladies can. It's like all the emotions surrounding this whole trying to conceive journey and trying to get there and wanting, like, something that's comes so easily to so many other women, and for whatever reason your body's not doing the thing it's meant to do. So I very much appreciated everything you went over, for sure. Lots of really good
Yeah,
information.
absolutely. Yes, and I like that you said what our bodies should be doing, right? Because that's a thought that's causing this emotion, and then once you have that, what's that emotion? Like, I'm interested in.
It
I'll just curious. What's the emotion when you think that thought, my body should be doing
frustration is like, I think the number one, and anger, I think, is the other big one I get with that one. Because you're like, come on, like what? This is what our bodies, we're women.
Right.
That's what we're built to do.
Yeah. And that word should is like an automatic. It's going to send you down that negative, right? Like anytime you think a should thought, it's going to give you a negative emotion every time, right? Yeah. And we can just change like the first two letters instead of should. It'd be like could. Just change that one word to like, my body could do this, right? It's not, maybe it's typical for some, but look at this whole panel. Clearly it's not typical for everyone, right? Yeah, so it could. And then when you change the words, then you can change that vibration and your brain gets a different message. So then it gives you different vibrations in your body. It gives you different neurotransmitters. And then you can like, not that we're always trying to move the needle away from this, the emotion, but when you're feeling the heaviness all of the time, it could offer you some relief.
Which is huge too, is trying to find ways to balance and keep yourself sane through the process. That's one thing I've learned just in talking to women throughout the last 2.5 years of my life, is like how many other women are actually going through it. You're like, we're not alone. Like there's a lot of us out, the 1 in 4, whatever they, it's like, that's a lot of women. And I think it's kept me sane, knowing that I'm not alone and that there's other women that share the same emotions as you do. And so it's very, very, it's been very eye-opening.
Yeah, absolutely. And then having some tools really to get through it. And, I like to say, like, we could go back through this whole presentation and you could put any problem in there, right? You could put anything. This can serve you throughout your life. And when you do become a parent, it's super helpful also.
When you're talking about even like losing somebody or, any kind of emotion. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I'm looking in the chat. I'm just going to scoop one out. So you said emotions can't hurt. Right. But what about negative emotions about trying to conceive? Stress. Yes. Okay. So that leads to, right. So that's cycle, right? So you're thinking, I have an emotion that's stress, right? So I just want to like separate the stress. Stress is like a side effect from an emotion that you're having. So the stress can be dealt with physically. Okay. So we can do some exercise, some breathing to reduce stress, but we can also do the mindset work. So I don't want you to think like, oh, I have to think positive thoughts or else the stress will totally stop any chance of me getting pregnant. Absolutely not true, right? Like stress is a side effect from all of the things, the negative thinking, but it can be helped with some physical, and it should be. The stress response cycle can be diffused with physical activity. It can be diffused with connection, with physical touch, with breathing, breath work. There's so many ways to handle the stress, but also I don't want you to forget, like, be aware of where it's coming from, right? So there's two things there with stress. It's we could do a whole other presentation just on stress. But I hope I answered that question. Because we do not want to think that we are causing our own infertility because of the thoughts we think. No, if I gave you guys that impression, no way. That is not what I wanted to do. Okay, let's see. Yes, people say stop stressing, and I say that's not easy. No, right. Stop stressing. Stop thinking stressful thoughts. Now that's in your control, right? And then you get the effect of that. Okay. Thank you for that encouragement. You're welcome, Katie. Okay. Okay, great. So some people want the video emailed. I'm not sure if that's
after the live is over, anyone that signs up will get a copy of the live, so you can go back and rewatch it or share it with your friends or what have you. And they usually end up putting it on YouTube as well. So just so everybody knows. And then I'll talk a little bit on Mira. And if you guys have more questions, please feel free to send them our way so that either myself or Erin can answer them for you. And let's see here. So let's go to, So just to kind of let you know, anyone who doesn't know, who's not currently utilizing Mira, it's a hormone tracker that gives you actual numeric hormone data. So you can actually see your estrogen levels, your progesterone levels, your LH levels throughout your cycle. It's extremely intuitive and gives you a nice 6-day fertile window. Women use it when they're trying to conceive. Some women use it when they're trying to avoid pregnancy. And then some women just use it to strictly know the health of their hormones, because that's also very important. Learning what I've learned, I've been telling my younger sisters, well, it'd be a really good idea to just kind of have some awareness about your body and how it works, because I learned a whole slew of information that I did not know for my entire life, and I was very shocked. so it's never a bad thing to just kind of know where you're at and understand your body. Takes the guesswork out of it. So Mira, as you continue to test with it, after about 3 cycles or so, it'll start to learn your unique patterns, and kind of predict when you're going to ovulate and give you a rough idea of the optimal times to avoid or have intercourse, depending on what your goals are. And then also gives you useful information to discuss with your doctor, should you find that your estrogen is always high, or you find that you're not having an LH surge and maybe not ovulating every month, just to kind of give you guys it gives you a lot of information. And then also coming out soon is Max Wands, so you can do all 3 hormones in one wand. Currently, they have separate wands for both. So it's just a great tool to help you predict and confirm and track your cycle, clinically proven accuracy. So it's very, very similar. It mimics what's in blood. I've been doing a lot of blood work lately too, so I know that is true, because we've been having to do all kinds of testing at the clinic and so on and so forth. My sister and sister-in-law have both conceived once and twice with Mira. So it's been a very useful tool for them. And then, of course, more than 30,000 people have conceived with Mira. We have all kinds of fun stories on our Facebook groups. So if you guys want to join and just have an amazing group of support, please feel free. We have a wonderful, wonderful group of ladies over there, and everybody's very helpful. And like I said, saved my life. Have kept me sane through this entire process. Not even kidding. So, and then now back to more questions and Q&A. So if anyone else has any additional questions, okay, let's see. That one.
Yeah, I just see the emotion wheel. So that's part of the presentation. I don't know if you can pull that separately or print it out,
yes.
But you can Google it.
That emotion wheel
yeah, I just got that
awesome.
Yes, absolutely. And I just see another one, ideas for not giving up on caring for yourself when it feels like you won't cooperate. Yeah. So, So I think I didn't put it in this presentation because this was mostly on emotions, but I see a lot of thought questions. So what you guys can do, I highly recommend this little process I do, whether in the morning or at night. Just get a pad of paper and put either brain dump or thought download, whatever you want, and just write down the thoughts that your brain is offering you. And notice I say that your brain is offering you, because that takes so much of the pressure off of like, I'm thinking these terrible thoughts, right? Because it's not you, it's your brain. Your brain is just like a processor. It's taking information and it's just offering you things just to keep you alive, right? We're very primitive. So just writing down the thoughts, first step. Second step is to go in with your little like highlighter, 3 different colors, and then look at the thoughts and separate out the fact from like the facts, which is like the circumstance, from your thought, like how you're coloring it in, like what your lens is, and then any feeling, if there's a feeling in there, and just like take a look at that and just notice like, interesting. And then you can ask yourself like, why, or like, how is this making me feel? How is this affecting my life? This is like self-coaching. But I like to give people tools like that, because sometimes it just feels like we're out of control, or we're at the effect of, like I said before, our circumstances or our diagnosis, or like that monthly cycle, when really we have so much control over our thoughts. And Emma, I hope that helped you too, the thoughts that are spiraling. Yeah. So we think about 60,000 thoughts a day, like just as humans. A lot of them are negative, and most of them are unconscious. So we're like running around, like we feel like we're on this emotional roller coaster. But if you do this thought download or this brain dump in the morning or even in the evening, it's nice because you could just see it on paper and it gets it out of your head, right? And then you're more apt to catch them because you can see them. So give that a try.
I like that. That's a good one for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I do see Mira question on here. Okay, so how do you know if your numbers on Mira are too low or too high? So when you're talking about LH and even estrogen, it's going to vary by each individual person. So like I have smaller LH surges, but I do ovulate. I confirm with, blood work and ultrasound, et cetera, et cetera. So I always tell people, don't worry if your numbers aren't 70 or 80 when your LH is surging and you're only getting up to 18. My sister conceived her Mira baby on a surge of 18. So it's really more about the synchrony of everything going up and coming back down and basically triggering that ovulation for you. So usually like estrogen, for example, you can see your E3G that goes up to 640 before your surge is about to happen. And for some women, it only goes up to 250. So I always tell people it's more about the pattern of the numbers, or if you notice something that looks irregular, like your estrogen is constantly high throughout your entire cycle, or you're not seeing an LH surge happening in that time period, or you're seeing weird, like your estrogen flatlines the entire cycle, then it might be time to talk to your doctor and have them run some blood tests at different points in your cycle to see if they can identify any kind of hormonal imbalances. And then the other one was, which wand should you test first if you have more than one wand to test in the same day? And I always tell people, do the plus wand first and then do the progesterone wand second. Because the plus wand, the half-life of that hormone in urine, the LH and the estrogen, is a little bit shorter. And the PDG, actually, you can test within a few hours of collecting the sample. So I always tell people, do your plus wand first and then your PDG wand second. And Stephanie said, it's funny that people say stop stressing as if I can control how I feel. So true.
Yeah.
I know, I'm like, not that easy. We try our best, but absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And the takeaways, ladies, you're trying to get at its circumstance. That's the thing, right? Like it's out there in the world. You can't control that. Then it's your thought about it that causes the feeling.
Really?
Yes.
Oh yeah, thought, feelings, and circumstances.
Yes.
Yay. Okay, and let's see here. And then just to let you guys know, there's going to be a code for anyone that watched this live for 10% off. Use the code mental health, and it's good through June 13th. So if you want to purchase any Mira products, you can use the code mental health and get 10% off of your purchase. And let's see here. Any other questions coming in or? Oh yeah, and then this was also Mira member 15. This is about the memberships.
This is from us. Yeah, this is for So from Organic Conceptions, we were just offering you guys this little promo. We do a discount once a year for our coaching, 10% off. But today we're going to do this for you guys. So you can get coached by me. And if you go to our website, you can, organicconceptions.com, you can go ahead and just click the Get Coach link, or you can actually become a member. And we've got lots of classes and things to support you there, but you can use these codes for membership or just for coaching.
That's awesome. And I think it's very helpful to have somebody to talk to when you're going through this journey, for sure, and somebody to bounce things off of. And I'm not insane.
No, not at all. Half the time we end up talking about things that are not even related to fertility, because everything becomes heavy when you're dealing with this.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So I coach on everything. So anybody needs it.
Yep. I love it. And Awesome. You have been amazing, Erin. Thank you very, very much. This is,
Thanks so much. This was an amazing
yeah,
audience, like a great feedback and
heck
chat.
yeah.
Awesome.
I know all the ladies are very interactive and
Yeah, love it. Thank you so much.
and let's see here. So our last one is just saying thank you. We appreciate you. And yeah, like I said, you guys will get a copy of this later, so you can share it with your friends. You can watch it again if you wanted, any particular information from any of the slides, like the one she showed with all the emotions. Oh yeah, and then you can also download the slides here. So yay!
Fancy.
Feel free to go ahead and grab that. And I'm going to do it as well, so I have it for later because it was all a lot of good information. And then I think that's everything, huh? Anything else from you, Erin?
No, that's it. I hope that I hear from some of you, and if not, I hope that we get to talk again.
And we appreciate you. Thank you. And thank you for doing what you do. It's very important. So
thanks. Thank you.
Awesome.